Hello, Chamber faithful. Welcome to the Chamber's virtual education series. I'm Jeremy Field, your host. The Boise Metro Chamber is the only five-star accredited U.S. Chamber of Commerce member in the state of Idaho. And that distinction helps us to advocate and educate on issues that impact your lives. The programs and services we provide support four core areas: economic vitality, advocacy, education, and member engagement. We're excited to provide high-quality educational content today. It, however, would not be possible without the help of our sponsor, Sparklight. We'd also like to recognize our media partners, the Idaho Statesman, Idaho Press, Idaho Capital Sun, and Idaho Education News, who help ensure this program is available to a wide audience throughout the state of Idaho. And now a word from our presenting sponsor, Sparklight.
This is the sound of connecting.
Good morning.
Of learning, creating, competing, bonding.
How's he doing?
A lot better.
This is the sound of fast, reliable internet. A fiber-powered network.
All right, push.
Delivering speeds up to 1 gig.
Absolutely.
And whole home Wi-Fi. So all your devices stay connected. This is the sound of Sparklight. A stronger connection.
Very good. Well, thank you, Sparklight, for your support as always. A great member of the Chamber. We're grateful to be joined by the president of the University of Idaho, Scott Greene. Scott Greene took office as the 19th president of the University of Idaho on July 1st, 2019. President Greene joins U of I as a highly accomplished executive with a career in global finance, operations, and administration. He is also a proud alumnus of the university, graduating in 1984 with a Bachelor of Science in Accounting. Born in Moscow, Greene's family moved to Boise, where he graduated from Boise High School. Following his degree from the University of Idaho, the third-generation Vandal went to work for the Boise Cascade Corporation. He went on to attend Harvard Business School and received a Master's of Business Administration in 1989. Greene worked for Deloitte & Touche as part of his accelerated career program from 1989 to 1994. He then worked in banking, serving in various management roles for Goldman Sachs and IMG Barings. He published 2 books on the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, which reformed regulations around auditing and financial reporting. Greene went on to a leadership in global law firms, including serving as CEO at Pepper Hamilton and as executive director at WilmerHale. He most recently served as the chief operating and financial officer of Hogan Lovells, and which is one of the largest law firms in the world, with annual revenues over $2 billion. Greene led all of the firm's worldwide operations, technology, conflicts, and finance functions. He has had global responsibilities for more than 3,000 employees in more than 30 countries. The first non-lawyer to run an American Lawyer 100 law firm, Greene was recognized as one of the top 50 big law innovators of the last 50 years by the American Lawyer magazine in 2013. A certified public accountant, Greene was inducted into the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants Business and Industry Hall of Fame in 2006. He won the Institute of Internal Auditors Outstanding Contributor Award in 2004 and 2006. Greene's commitment to the University of Idaho over many years has included service on the U of I Alumni Association's National Board of Directors, the College of Business and Economics Advisory Board, and on the U of I Foundation Board. He is also a Vandal Scholarship Fund supporter. Scott and his wife, Gabriella, an interior design project manager, have 2 adult children, Nicholas and Christina. President, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Really glad to be with you. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, reading your bio, it's obviously extremely impressive. Great career achievements, but your success was definitely in the business world and advancing the companies that you led. How did someone who was not part of academia for their traditional career, being in the world of finance, become the president of a university?
Yeah, thank you. Very good question, and something I ask myself often. But frankly, it's because there was just a need at the University of Idaho. It's my alma mater. It means a lot to me, obviously, and they were in financial distress. That was clear. They had lost $45 million over 3 years, and And we're struggling. We had a lot of, a succession of presidents moved through that office pretty quickly as a stepping stone. So really it was just about, they needed financial help. I had expertise in that area. They hired me to do that. And, I was committed. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not qualified to lead any other educational institutions. I don't know any other fight songs. So the U of I is it for me. And we very quickly turned around the financial situation there. So we're in really good financial shape now and really have a great platform to grow from.
That's great. You often refer to the three pillars of the University of Idaho: student success, telling our story, and research. Can we take those one by one? Please tell us a little bit about student success at the U of I.
Yeah, there's a couple pieces to that, but the quite the largest piece for us is access. Student success really starts with access to the institution itself. And so with us, we prioritize, Idaho high school and community college students really in a lot of our recruitment efforts. 70% of our students are from the state of Idaho, and over 40% are first generation students who require quite a bit of support because, they don't have that family history or a family that's able to help them understand what they need to do to get into college and succeed in college. So we do a lot to help our students succeed in that area. And the first thing that we've done is create a Vandal Promise Scholarship, which offers $5,000 each year to high achieving yet financially challenged students. These are students who otherwise would not be able to afford to go to college. And for us, that $5,000 number we didn't pull it out of the air. That's kind of the delta between, a student receiving Pell Grants and other financial aid help and the cost to go to our institution. So it really plugs that gap. We've raised over $2 million now. That's current use funds for these scholarships. We've awarded about 81 of those scholarships. And again, these are students who otherwise would not have been able to afford to attend college. So, to us, it's incredibly important. Another aspect, of that student success and scholarship raising is our current capital campaign. We started with raising money for scholarships, and our alumni have come through in a big way. We've raised almost $100 million to date for scholarship endowments, and that's kind of the longer term. The Vandal Promise is current use, and these are longer term investments. And then finally, we really work hard to get them to thrive when they're on campus, and that includes new investments in mentorship. We do a lot of cohorts for different students so that they have a peer group that they can work with. A lot of tutoring. So we know that the students really succeed. They have a higher rate of success when they have a strong personal connection with faculty and our professors. So we work really hard to make those connections. And I said, build those peer groups and build those cohorts so that they can succeed at our university.
That's wonderful. So when you go on and you talk about telling the story of the U of I, what is that story?
Yeah, that's another good question. So telling our story we see as kind of a linchpin, creating this virtual circle of success if you can control your narrative. And what I mean by that is if you can successfully tell your story, at the U of I, that can lead to better recruitment, more investment in R&D, more opportunities for our students and our faculty. And so just as a couple examples for that, we visit high schools throughout the state and encourage students to pursue, higher education. Even in the pandemic last year, we were able to visit about 30 high school students, and we emphasize that a college degree will make you healthier, wealthier, and wiser. And what we usually mean by that is that, you'll make more money. It's well over $1 million over your lifetime if you get a college degree compared to if you don't. It'll make you, healthier, and that, believe it or not, college graduates statistically live 9 years longer on average. And it'll make them wiser. They're more involved in their communities generally, and and are part of something bigger than themselves. So, like I said, we're able to visit about 30 other students, and And one of my favorite stories to tell at these things is the story of Tom Mueller, who you may not know the name, but Tom was a kid out of St. Mary's, Idaho, and he wanted to be an aerospace mechanic. And his teacher, really saw a great opportunity for him and said, whether he really wanted to fix engines or design them. And what he learned is Tom really wanted to build rockets, right? So he ended up attending the U of I College of Engineering, and a few years later, Elon Musk hired him as the first employee at SpaceX. Tom literally designed and built the Merlin engines that powered that company's Falcon rocket. And so it's just a great story, of how higher education in Idaho can illuminate and elevate a hardworking kid even out of St. Mary's, Idaho. Another important, part of controlling our narrative and getting our story out there is, the U of I has been named the #1 best value of any public university in the West by U.S. News and World Report for the second straight year. And actually last year we passed the University of Virginia. So now we're only behind the University of North Carolina nationally. And that's also an important narrative. So if you combine, we're out there talking to high school students, we're out marketing that we're one of the best values in the West, with incredible value. That helps reach students and increases our enrollment. You get into this virtuous circle of with more enrollment, you have more money to invest in students and in research, and that in turn, creates more stories that you go out there and can tell. So that's that virtuous circle. Just an aside, a kind of funny thing that one of our students speaking to our regents in the open forum we had on campus when they were visiting the U of I, he basically said he came to the University of Idaho because of this value thing. Only he said that he came because we're cheap. But really what he went on to say was that he explained his amazing experience and really proving that these rankings are really about the quality of the programs compared to the net cost. I mean, the private institutions on that list are the Harvards, Yales and Princetons of the world. And we're there with the University of Virginia and North Carolina on the public side of that. And really the bottom line is our citizens have access to an affordable world-class teaching and research institution in their backyard. And that's the story that we're getting out there and starting that virtuous circle that I was talking about.
That's really great. And then finally, you talk about research. And so can you share some of the university's research programs, what you have going on right now?
Yeah, so we do over $100 million in research every year. And that's important because that's money, most of that money is federal money that's coming back to the state of Idaho that otherwise would not. It would go somewhere else if we weren't competing for it and getting that money. And for us, that's our money. That belongs to us, the way I see it. We pay our taxes and we should be getting our fair share back. And traditionally, rural states do not. That does not happen. But we compete very well, like I said, over $100 million. And what's also important is that half to 2/3 of our undergraduate students actually participate in research. And that's unique. Most quality institutions of higher education, only the master's and PhD students get to participate in research. And the reason that's important is when our students come out, they've got a lot of hands-on experiences cutting edge, whether it be in agriculture or sciences or engineering or cyber, you name it. They come out and they've done cutting edge research and they're contributing on day one. And that's why we also our students command some of the highest salaries in the state coming out. The highest salaries of any public institution in the state for sure. So, for us, it's all really, it's a really important part of preparing our students. You mentioned what kind of programs we're working on. I mean, there's so many great, I could spend this whole time, and I know you don't want me to spend our whole time talking about our research projects, but one that we're pretty proud about that really is all about meeting workforce demand is around cybersecurity. The number of jobs has increased 160% since 2015. And so this past year, we launched a master's degree in cybersecurity that we used to complement a bachelor's degree we had already launched the previous year. And next year, we're going to be introducing a PhD program. So again, that's really kind of based on a lot of the work that we're doing around cybersecurity. We collaborate with our partners in our 2-year institutions to build to get, help them get the basics, and then move on into the bachelor's program with us. I would also, state that we've got this, because of a lot of the research that we do, we've always been one of the centers of excellence since the very beginning. We were one of the original 7 centers of excellence in cybersecurity. And just recently, the Department of Defense put together this higher education consortium. And they asked, there's 340 universities and colleges in that, and they asked the University of Idaho to lead that. So, so we're doing great things for this state, and we're going to be a leader in this state of cybersecurity. I'm pretty sure the governor and legislature are going to make sure that happens, and so we're working closely with them. So that is some of the research that we're doing. And again, we're training these folks on cutting edge systems to fight cybercrime throughout the world. And it's really interesting, and I have a lot of stories, but I know you don't want me to go into that about some of the stuff that we're doing. That was just kind of fun to watch. Also,
no, actually, I kind of want to hear. Tell me another story.
So one of my first trips, to Idaho Falls, that's where many of our master's students are studying in cybersecurity. I walked into this space.
Collaboration with the INL there?
Yeah, well, we do a lot with the INL. In fact, a lot of the funding that we do, they're great partners there. They really help us put on a terrific world-class program. But our cybersecurity folks were actually in a basement, which a lot of computer guys are, I guess. So they're in this basement. You walk in, it's a pretty large room, and it's got video, displays all across the room of the world, and red lines going here and there. It was just, it was really something to watch. And I look along the side, they have all these coffee makers. And I'm thinking, there was more than you could ever drink any coffee in that room. It was just all along the sides of the room. And I asked them what they were doing. And they said, well, we're simulating an attack. And, this one happened to be coming out of the Ukraine from the olden days. And it's amazing because it's now in the news all the time. But it was a Russian, attack coming through the Ukraine and laying low a lot of utility systems across the world. And the thermodynamics of a coffee maker had been reprogrammed to simulate nuclear reactors across the world. So they were protecting those coffee makers and hoping none of them would go off. But it was just, to me, it was an incredible story. And it gave me incredible faith in our young people. And they were defending those coffee makers and nuclear reactors throughout the world very effectively and in real time. And so it just gives you a lot of faith in our future. So not in my script, but there you go. That's a story that I like to tell about our very, very good graduates in that master's program.
That's awesome. Keep going.
Yeah, can I tell you about a couple other research things that we're doing?
This is the fun stuff about universities, is just the stuff that they're coming up with, addressing the nation's issues.
Yeah, so another thing that we just recently opened was our seed potato germplasm laboratory. And there we address the greater demand for plantlets and mini tubers throughout the country. 90% of all potatoes grown in Idaho and 60% of all potatoes grown in our country can trace their roots back to our laboratory in Moscow, Idaho. And the reason for that is, potato plants are pretty simple plants, and because of that, there's not a lot of defenses for them from, plagues and things that have happened throughout history. So, our germplasm facility grows, disease-free plantlets and mini tubers, and they become the seed potatoes that become the crops that we eat throughout the country. And basically we have about 300 varieties there, and we maintain those. And if it wasn't for when you eat a McDonald's French fry, you're eating a potato that came from one of our certified, that they came from the University of Idaho's germplasm facility. So we just opened a brand new one, and it's operational. We're very proud of that facility.
Where's that facility? It's in Moscow?
It is in Moscow, and that's actually by design, because most of our potato production is actually in southern Idaho, but we need it to be remote. Just like when they grow seed potato, they kind of need it to be remote from other areas of the potato production, so that if something goes wrong, it doesn't infect the seed potato. So that's just some interesting facts that I've learned. I'm not a potato expert, but I do enjoy eating them like any Idahoan. Last year, also talking about bringing federal money back to the state. Last year, we won an $18.9 million grant from the National science foundation for deep soil ecotron lab, easy for me to say. But it's going to be built on our Moscow campus as well. And I can't really overstate the importance of this facility to our state and our country. It's going to be a unique world-class research lab that's going to bring scientists from around the world. They're already lining up. Once this thing was announced, they're lining up because this is truly unique. There's no other facility like it in the United States and nothing quite like it in the world. Some others in Europe have ecotron labs, but nothing like this is going to be. It's going to be, world-class and not just at another level. And it'll help it store, basically research soils up to 10 feet. And why is that important? It's important because a lot of carbon capture occurs in soil, and so it'll help it study that, for the environment and trying to keep, carbon levels down, throughout the world. It's important for agriculture and plant health. It's important for water quality. If you kind of watch what's happening with all the nitrates going down, into our aquifers and into the Snake River, that's a problem. And it'll help with biology, environmental science, and much more. And our research is you're probably getting an idea of here is really about solutions. It's not about, okay, what problems can we discover? It's really about, here are the problems. We want to continue to grow business and industry in Idaho. What kind of research can we do to help that industrial base grow and yet protect all the resources that they depend on, whether it be, air or soil, water, or labor for that matter. So all the inputs, to a properly operating economy, we want to make sure that we can protect and grow. So that lab, like I said, people are signing up. We're going to have faculty come from all over the world to work there, and Idaho is going to be pretty much the center of deep soil research for the planet.
No, that's incredible. The U of I has long had a strong agricultural program, and so that doesn't surprise me at all about any of those stories. I love that. Thank you for elaborating and telling some of those fun things, because it really is. It's what makes university life so exciting, is just to see all the knowledge that's being created and how that impacts the world. So go Vandals on that front for sure.
Go Vandals.
Yeah. So one of the great differentiators between the U of I and the state's other public universities are its extensions. You have a university presence in every county of the state. And can you tell us more about those extensions and their roles in higher education?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to visit every single extension office that we've got in the state, and which is basically our 42. We have 42 in 42 offices out of our 44 counties. We have an office in every county. We also have some tribal offices, on the reservations as well, and for those nations and our collaboration with them. We also have 9 research centers. We'll soon have 10. We're opening, about to break ground on the largest research area in the country, which is going to be, so that we can study, animal health, as well as we have an experimental farm with that. We can study, the effects, of dairies on and using the waste and those sorts of things, on our experimental farms.
Where will that be?
That's going to be in Rupert, Idaho.
Okay.
We're also doing a discovery center as part of that, and food innovation and food processing work with College of Southern Idaho in Germplasm County and Twin Falls County. So it's a big project, but it's again going to be world class. So I've had a chance to visit all of those, and really what comes out of it is we just do a great job, I think, in this state of meeting the needs of our constituents, no matter where they're at. And our extension offices, basically they do a lot of work. But one of the first things that comes to mind is 4-H, and that's what most folks know. We have over 14,000 kids enrolled in 4-H throughout the state, and we actually serve more than 60,000 kids. Not all are enrolled, but some participate in one program or another. And it's not all about animals. Everyone knows about the work that we do, with animal husbandry and bringing kids up at 4-H for that. But there's also drum camps, robotics, summer camps for outdoors. I mean, you name it. So it's just an incredibly great service for raising those kids. We know that if a kid is enrolled in 4-H, they're much more likely to go on to college, and they're much less likely to be involved in risky behavior. So, it's a real service to our state and getting kids ready for college. Our staff also conducts the Eat Smart Idaho program out of these offices, and that's really a program for low-income, needy families. Just how they get around providing nutrition and physical activity throughout the state. And we also have obviously our educators in each of these centers who go out and work with our primarily farmers and ranchers about practices to take our research out of our labs and apply them throughout the state. And these are usually focused on for agriculture, like plant health or animal health, grazing, trying to select those cattle that go to market, those that you want to keep. Believe it or not, there's some animals are much more efficient than others, and you learn about that and want to breed for that. Plant health. We actually at Parma we have sensors all over the state, and so we can notify farmers if there are pathogens in the air before they see damage to their crops, so they can respond. Just a lot of great stuff happening out of our research centers and extension offices on the ground. So that's just very important to the state. We also do things like personal finance and other courses that are relevant for each community. So just a lot of value is being added by extension, and frankly, I believe it's one of our crown jewels. It's often kind of the redheaded stepchild for land grant institutions, but for us, to me, it is our competitive advantage. It's what helps Idaho really succeed on the ground in agriculture and in forestry. We also do some management of forested areas as well through those programs. So,
no, that's amazing. Is it all right if you referenced earlier on about what you had, one of the issues, the big issue you came into as a university president when you came on was that $45 million deficit you were looking at. Would you mind just detailing how you've turned the university's finances around and maybe just elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, happy to. It's hard work. I mean, anyone who's ever done this knows this, but we turned it around in 1 year, which was amazing. And I can't take full credit for that. I have to say that our faculty and employee, staff made that happen and did more than I asked them to do. We walked in, we were looking at another $20 million deficit with a budget that had already been approved. And so we operate under a contract system there, so labor is pretty fixed when you walk in, but we put in a hiring freeze, which is an obvious thing to do. And I believe that we could cut $14 million out of our non-personnel expenses and hiring freeze savings and not damage the university too much, that it would hurt, but we could do that. And our faculty and staff, proved me right. They actually ended up saving over $20 million, and we ended up, just above break even after year one. We put in a program too of voluntary retirement and separation. We had a few involuntary separations as well, but not too many. And that really created the surplus that we created last year. So we still have work to do on our balance sheet. Our operating and cash flows look terrific. Our balance sheet, because of those years of losses and some accounting changes in non-pension and other benefits that there were some accounting changes too, so that created even a deeper deficit for us on the balance sheet. But we're working our way out of that. We'll probably be another year or two before we completely get to where the state board metrics would like us to have on our balance sheet as far as unrestricted net reserves. But we're really close, and we're very positive. I keep saying we're a university on the rise because we've come through the financial problems. We did it despite the pandemic. We stayed open. We kept our campus healthy. And now we're poised to do all these great things in research and student success that we've talked about. And we've got a campus that's pretty tired, having been through the pandemic, but is really optimistic about where we're headed. We've done some great things up there. We're really excited about the future.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's just such a rich tradition there. It's our land grant university, as you said, a lot of Vandals in the state, very proud of where they went to school and the education they received. And so I can probably speak for a lot of alumni that can say, it's really nice to have a president in there that isn't looking for that next step and is there to help with this university be successful in the long term. And so we're really grateful for your leadership there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to speak with our university presidents and learn about all the wonderful things that are happening on campus. We've just scratched the surface in this small conversation, but there's a lot to be excited about with happening in the U of I, even if we're just talking about that amazing new basketball facility that's up there.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
It is.
I'm very proud of that facility. My grandfather was athletic director and built the Kibbe Dome.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, years ago. And he always talked about an arena, and it's probably a good thing we waited. I don't think it would have been anything as nice as we have now, but that's just a point in fact. It's probably been, 40 years, over 40 years since, it took us to get this arena built. But, it's made from wood off our experimental forest at the U of I. The lamb stock was made by Idaho Forest Group. They took that wood and turned it into lamb stock, and then went to Boise Cascade and Homedale and made, and another company up in Salmon. They made these beautiful beams, and it's put together with local labor. I mean, it's truly an Idaho story, and our engineers love it because it's just, there's nothing else like it in the country, and it truly is groundbreaking from that perspective. Our architects love it because of its beauty, and our forestry folks, of course, love it because they grew the trees that went in there, and they can show how they can put the end product. So it's really a living laboratory as well as a basketball stadium and concert venue, and it's just we're very proud of it.
Yeah, no, it's another gem for the state of Idaho. So, President Greene, thank you again so much for your time. We'll hopefully have you back on this program again really soon, and we're always looking forward to hearing about the exciting developments that are going on at the U of I.
Terrific. I look forward to it. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you. And now, before we do end our program, a big thank you to our series sponsor, Sparklight, for their wonderful support, as well as to our media partners, the Idaho Ed News, Idaho Capital Sun, Idaho Press, and the Idaho Statesman. Thank you so much for helping us put this series on this year. And until next year, when we have our next round of virtual education series, we'll see you then. Thank you.